This is the Linear Algebra Lectures video series. You can find more information about this video as well as a link to the written textbook in the description below. Stick around to the end of the video to learn more about this video series and the associated teaching and learning tools I've created for it. Lecture 27, Subspaces of Rn. Our objectives for this lecture are to understand how set builder notation is used to describe sets of vectors, explain why a given set does or does not contain the zero vector, prove that a set is closed under vector addition, or give a counterexample to show that it is not, and prove that a set is closed under scalar multiplication, or give a counterexample to show that it is not. We're going to be talking about sets of vectors in this lecture, and we use two different kinds of notation to describe these kinds of sets. We'll use a form description, where we describe the form that the elements of the set have to take, and we'll also use a property description, where we describe a property that the elements of the set have to satisfy. Let's take a look at this example. So we've defined H to be the set described here, and this is a form description. There's two pieces of this notation inside curly brackets separated by a colon. Before the colon, we have the formula, so that's the formula that describes the form that the elements of the set have to take. And then after the set, we have the domain for any variables that appear in that formula. In this case, our formula just has one variable, and this says that the variable a has to be a real number. So we're asked to find three different examples of elements of H. So all we have to do for a form description is generate values of the variables that are in the domain that's described. So in this case, we just have to pick a real number. I've chosen a equals 1 here for our first example, and plug that number into our formula. And when we do that, we get the vector 1, 2, which is in the set H. We can pick any real number, it doesn't have to be a whole number. So if I pick, for example, a equals the square root of 3, I get the vector radical 3, 2 radical 3, which is another example of an element of H. I can also choose a equals 0, which shows me that the 0 vector 0, 0 is in this set H. Now the other kind of set builder notation is called a property description. So this time, before the colon, we have a generic vector, and then after the colon, we have a property that must be true for that vector for the vector to be in this set. It's a little harder to generate elements in this case. We're just going to use guess and check. So for example, if I choose the vector 1, 2, 3, how do I tell whether that vector is in this set K? Well, I match up the entries of that vector with the entries of my generic vector, and then use those corresponding values in my property to see if it's true. In this case, A is 1, B is 2, and C is 3, so I'm checking whether 1 times 2 is greater than 3, but 2 is not greater than 3, so this vector 1, 2, 3 is not in my set K. Playing around with numbers, and again guessing and checking, we might stumble across the vector 4, 5, 1, and this vector is in K because 4 times 5 is greater than 1. Again, we can use any kind of real numbers, positive or negative. So for example, the vector negative 2, negative 2, negative 2 is in my set K, because again, I can check whether A times B is greater than C, and in this case, 4 is greater than negative 2, so that vector is in K. One last example, how about the vector 0, 0, negative 1? In this case, 0 times 0 is greater than negative 1, so this is another example of a vector in K. Now we're especially interested in when a set of vectors forms what's called a subspace. So a subspace of Rn is any set of vectors in Rn that has these three properties. Number 1, the set has to contain the zero vector. Number 2, the set has to be closed under addition. That means anytime we have two vectors in our set, the sum of those two vectors must also be in the set. And the set must be closed under scalar multiplication, which means anytime we have a vector in the set and a scalar, when we multiply that vector by that scalar, the result is again in that set. So let's return to our example from example 1. Let's prove that this subset of vectors is actually a subspace, that it has those three properties that we were just talking about. So the first one is the zero vector. So why is this zero vector in H? Well, we already saw this back in example 1. We saw that if we let the variable in our formula a equal 0, then the vector a to a works out to be 0, 0, and that shows that the zero vector is in H. But we're not done showing that H is a subspace. H has to have all three properties in order to be a subspace of R2. So now we have to prove that this set is closed under addition. Let's remember what that meant. That meant that every time we had two vectors in this subset, the sum of those two vectors had to be in our subset. And we can't just pick two specific elements out of H and add them together. We have to do this for every pair of vectors u and v in H, which means we need to use generic vectors. So we say let u and v be vectors in H, and since those vectors are in H, they have the form required to be in H, which means that u looks like the vector a to a, and v looks like the vector b to b for some real numbers a and b. Notice that we didn't let v also equal a to a. If we had done that, then that would have implied that these two vectors are equal, and we don't know that in general. Remember that we need to show that this set is closed under addition, which means that we need to show that the sum of any pair of vectors from this set is in this set. And that means that we need to use different variables for vectors that could be different. So just watch out for that and make sure that you're not reusing letters that might be different. Now, what do we need to show about u and v? Well, we need to show that when we add them together, the sum of those two vectors is in H. Well, when we add these two vectors together, we get the vector a plus b in the first entry and 2a plus 2b in the second entry. So how would we show that this vector is in H? Well, what does it mean to be in H? Well, to be in H, you have to have the form, a real number in the first entry, and 2 times that same real number in the second entry. So in this case, our vector has a plus b in the first entry, and if we factor out that 2, we see that this does have that form. The first entry is a plus b, and the second entry is 2 times that a plus b, and that shows that this is in H. We're still not done in showing that H is a subspace. The third and final part of this proof is that we have to show that H is closed under scalar multiplication. Let's again remember what that means. That means that anytime we have a vector in H and a scalar c, that c times u is in H. So we start off by saying let u be a vector in H and let c be a real number. Again, what does it mean for u to be in H? We know that that means that u has the form a to a for some real number a. Here it's okay for us to reuse the letter a, because this part of the proof is separate from the part where we proved that the set H was closed under addition. And now we want to see what happens when we multiply this vector u by the scalar c. Well, we get the vector ca in the first entry and c times 2a in the second entry. And now again we want to think about how would we show that that vector is in H? Well, we have to show that it has the form, a real number in the first entry, and 2 times that same real number in the second entry. So we can rearrange that second entry to make it look like 2 times ca, and that has the right form, so that means that that vector cu is in H. So now finally we're done. We've shown that this subset H is a subspace of R2. Let's revisit example 2 from earlier. So remember that this was a property description where the vectors that got into this set had the property that a times b was greater than c. So let's think about whether this set is a subspace. Let's think about the 3 different parts of the definition of subspace. First, we need to ask ourselves whether the 0 vector is in K. Well, to check whether a vector is in K, we have to check the property. And in this case, we check whether a times b is greater than c, whether 0 times 0 is greater than 0, and we know that that's not true, which means that the 0 vector is not in K. And so if we're trying to answer the question of whether K is a subspace, we now know that the answer is no. We don't need to check whether K is closed under addition or whether K is closed under scalar multiplication, because it already doesn't satisfy the first part of the definition of subspace. It doesn't matter whether it satisfies the other 2 parts. K is not a subspace. Now, just for clarity, I'm going to go through checking whether K is closed under addition and closed under scalar multiplication, but keep in mind that we don't have to be doing that. If the question is whether K is a subspace of R3, we've answered that question and we know that the answer is no. But just for the sake of argument, can we think about whether K is closed under addition? Remember that to generate elements of K, we need to use a little bit of trial and error, and so in this case we're going to use some trial and error to try to generate 2 elements of K that when we add them together gives us an element that's not in K. So after playing around a little bit, we might stumble upon an example like this. We have the vector -3, -2, 1, which is in K, and 3, 2, 1, which is also in K. Now how do I know that those vectors are in K? Well, I check the property. -3 times -2 is greater than 1, so the first vector is in K, and 3 times 2 is greater than 1, so the second vector is in K. But now what happens when I add these 2 vectors together? Well, I get the vector 0, 0, 2, and that vector is not in K. How do I know that? Well, I check the property. 0 times 0 is not greater than 2, and so this example shows that we had 2 vectors that were in K, but when we added them together, we got a result that was not in K. That shows that K is not closed under addition. Finally, let's check whether K is closed under scalar multiplication. And again, keep in mind that we've already answered the question of whether K is a subspace. We're just considering this third property just for the sake of argument, just to understand how this example would work. So how do we show that a set is not closed under scalar multiplication? Well, we need to come up with a vector that's in our set and a scalar, where when we multiply that vector by that scalar, the result is not in our set K. And again, using a little bit of trial and error, we might stumble upon an example like this. The vector 1, 0, -1 is in K, and again I know that because I checked the property. 0 is greater than -1, so that shows me that this vector is in K. And let's consider the scalar -2. When I multiply this vector by -2, I get the result -2, 0, 2, and that vector is not in K, and I know that because when I check the property, I get -2 times 0 greater than 2, which it's not, and so that shows that -2, 0, 2 is not in K. So in this case, my set K didn't satisfy any of the three parts of our definition. But even if it had satisfied 2 out of 3, that still would not have been enough to show that this subset was a subspace. To be a subspace, your subset has to satisfy all 3 of our conditions. So that means that to show that a subset of Rn is a subspace, we have to write a proof that includes all 3 parts. We have to show that the subset contains the 0 vector, we have to prove that the subset is closed under vector addition, and we have to prove that the subset is closed under scalar multiplication. And the vector addition and scalar multiplication parts of our proof should use generic variables. They should not use specific numbers. On the other hand, if you want to show that a subset of Rn is not a subspace, all you have to do is show that one of the 3 parts of our definition of subspace is not satisfied. You either need to show that the subset does not contain the 0 vector, or give a counterexample to show that the subset is not closed under vector addition, or give a counterexample to show that the subset is not closed under scalar multiplication. Any one of these is sufficient to show that your subset is not a subspace. And if you're finding counterexamples, then those counterexamples should use specific numbers to show that the counterexample works. Let's do another example. So when I draw this line in my xy plane, I'm indicating that I've got all the vectors that point to points along this line. So does this set contain the 0 vector? Well, the 0 vector is the origin of our xy plane, and we can clearly see that that point is not on our line, which means that this subset does not contain the 0 vector. And again, that's already enough to show that this subset is not a subspace. But let's consider the other 2 properties anyway. Is this set closed under addition? Well, if we think the answer is no, then the way that we show that is by picking 2 elements that are in my subset, and then adding them together and showing that the sum is not in my subset. So in this case, I've got 2 vectors here that I've drawn, but when I add those 2 vectors together, the sum is not in my set. Notice that the sum of those 2 vectors gives me a point that's not on my line, and so that shows that this subset is not closed under addition. What about closed under scalar multiplication? Well, again, if we think that this set is not closed under scalar multiplication, what we need to do is come up with a vector that is in the set and a scalar, but that when we multiply that scalar by that vector, the result is not in the subset. In this case, let's use that same vector v from earlier, and let's multiply it by 2. And again, we can see here that the result of multiplying this vector by 2 is not in my subset, and so that shows that this subset is not closed under scalar multiplication. Now, one important example of a subspace is the span of a set of vectors. We first learned about span back in lecture 9, and so remember the definition of span. The span of a set of vectors is the set of all possible linear combinations of those vectors. We can write this in set builder notation using a form description. Notice that before the colon I have a formula for the elements of my span, which is a generic linear combination of my v vectors. And then after the colon I have the domain, which simply says that those scalars have to be real numbers. Now, why is the span of a set of vectors a subspace of Rn? Well, we have to prove that the span satisfies the 3 parts of our definition of subspace. We have to prove that the span contains the 0 vector. So why is that? Well, remember that H, the span here, is the set of all vectors that look like C1 times V1 plus C2 times V2 plus CP times VP. So what if we put in 0 for all those real numbers? Well, that would result in the 0 vector, and that shows why the 0 vector is in the span of the v's. What about closed under vector addition? Why is the set H closed under vector addition? Well, just like before, we have to figure out what does it mean for U and V to be in this set. By the definition of span, U looks like C1 V1 plus C2 V2, etc., and V looks like D1 V1 plus D2 V2 plus, and so on. And notice that I'm using different letters for the different scalars because they could be different. Now, what happens when I add these 2 vectors together? Well, I'm going to add them in such a way where I keep the vectors close to each other. So I'm going to rewrite this as C1v1 plus D1v1 plus C2v2 plus D2v2, and so on. And then I'm going to factor out the v's. If I rewrite this as C1 plus D1 times V1 plus C2 plus D2 times V2, and so on, we can see that this is another example of a linear combination of the v's, because C1 plus D1, C2 plus D2, and so on, all of those weights in this linear combination, those are all real numbers, and that means that this vector is in H. And the proof that H is closed under scalar multiplication is similar. Since U is in H, U looks like a linear combination, and when we multiply U by C, we distribute the multiplication, and we get another linear combination of the V's, which shows that C times U is in H. Now there are two more important but kind of boring subspaces that we need to consider. The first is the set that just contains the zero vector. So why is this a subspace? Well, let's briefly think about the three parts of our definition of subspace. Obviously, this set contains the zero vector because that's the only thing that it contains. It's closed under addition because if I take two elements out of this set, the only thing I can do is take the zero vector twice, and when I take the zero vector plus the zero vector, I get the zero vector. And it's closed under scalar multiplication because if I take a vector out of this set, that vector must be the zero vector, and it doesn't matter what scalar I multiply that by, I'll get the zero vector as a result. The other subspace we need to be aware of here is Rn, the set that contains all vectors that have n entries. This contains the zero vector because it contains every vector, so it must contain the zero vector. It's closed under addition because if I take two vectors with n entries and add them together, I get another vector with n entries. And it's closed under scalar multiplication because if I take a vector with n entries and multiply it by a scalar, I get a vector with n entries. Now, where are we going with all this subspace stuff? Well, as you'll see in the next few lectures, first we're going to look at subspaces associated with matrices. The column space and the null space are subspaces associated with any given matrix. And we're also going to look at how to find a basis for a subspace, which is a useful way to understand which vectors are elements of that subspace. Thanks for watching this video lecture. You can find links to the other videos in this series and to the written textbook in the description below. If you're an instructor, you can contact me for more information about the over 300 online linear algebra homework problems that I've created for the free My Open Math platform.